YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back, going over which teams improved the most from single signings. So essentially the video is the best free agents to sign with new teams as well. So breaking it down, these big splash signings of the last couple weeks here. Videos like this on the channel, bonus ones for Twitter subscribers and Patreon members. We're going to start getting into that draft content. Already got mock drafts out. Join us on our channel, but got to talk about maybe the biggest one, Kirk Cousins of the Vikings. We'll have the contract details listed, but it doesn't really matter with this video. Most recent video had my best value signing, so contract details matter for that one. It's just which, the best players are signing with new teams, plus which teams improve the most from these signings. So the Falcons, obviously, the Falcons are improving a ton getting Kirk Cousins, because last year they were a pretty decent team, but quarterback play helped, hurt them big time. Otherwise, they'd have been in the playoffs. Now you get a very solid veteran quarterback, very accurate quarterback, smart quarterback, and Kirk Cousins. So they most definitely improved. A guy that can get the ball to those weapons that they have. Kyle Pitts finally could kind of blossom. Drake London, I think, is a star in the making. Bijan's going to catch the ball a bit. Cousins knows when it's the right moment to get it to the running back, whether it's in the flat or even downfield. And they add Darnell Mooney. So, this is a legit team now. This is a legit NFC team. I would put them as definitely the favorites in the NFC South right now. As good as the Bucs were last year, I would put the Falcons definitely at the top right now. We do have the draft and the rest of the offseason to get to, but it's a big impact, a massive impact signing here. I don't really think I need to try to convince anybody of that, but the only downside, he is coming off the Achilles injury, but there seems to be confidence there. Another one, Christian Wilkins going to the Raiders, got a big payday, but this is massive for the Las Vegas Raiders. One of the very best free agents, definitely the best interior defensive lineman. There's no question about that. And I was going to have him ahead of Matabuke even if he didn't get tagged. If Matabuke was in free agency as well, even though they were both top-tier free agents. But, the Raiders defense played much better than how they looked on paper. I think a lot of it is Max Crosby. I thought he was the best defensive player in football last year, if it's up to me. But Patrick Graham's a really good defensive coach as well. But on paper, they didn't really look that great besides Max Crosby. Of course, they had other guys that can play, but especially on the interior, and just a massive, massive upgrade with a young stud that could become, you could argue, is he a star already? But he's going to become that. He can align in different spots, so I love that. Pair him with Max Crosby. This is huge for the Raiders' defensive line, the defense, the team. This makes them a ton better right now. So that is obviously a massive signing for the Las Vegas Raiders. So my favorite thing about this video is, we always go into value, and I grade off value of the contract. This video is just basically talking about who improved the most, who legit just got the best. They got the dogs, they got better. So that's what I like about this video here. So Falcons and Kirk Cousins, the Raiders and Christian Wilkins on the list so far. And then we got the Texans adding Denil Hunter. There's a legit jersey swap. I think who made it, their names up there. That was on the graphic. But Denil Hunter, one of the better pass rushers in football over the last several years. I was going to say just last year, but no. He's been very consistent when he's on the field. Led the NFL in tackles for loss last year. We know he gets after the quarterback. Obviously a super physical dude, freak athlete. So the Texans lose Grenard to the Vikings, which is funny, but they lose Grenard and they gain Hunter. Of course, Grenard has the upside. Hunter is plain and simple better right now. Plain and simple. I don't see... if they both stay healthy, I would be shocked if Grenard could be a good player, but I'd be shocked if he played better than Hunter this year. But we'll see. You never know. But two good pass rushers at the end of the day. But Texans get a lot better. You'd imagine Will Anderson takes a step up in the next year. Learning from Denil Hunter is huge as well. Those guys are going to feast. Who do you worry about more? I think Hunter's better right now, but Will Anderson, it wouldn't surprise me if Will Anderson was better this year. They're going to feast. They're going to feed off each other, so that's going to be huge. D'Amico Ryans gets the most out of his defensive lineman here, so a good place for Hunter to go crazy statistically and just on the field again like he's been doing, maybe even take another step up. Is that possible? I think most definitely. So, the Texans... even though one goes out, Gennard, one comes in, they do get a lot better. I think this is instant impact. It really helps out Will Anderson. So another one on this big time list right here. Next, the Titans getting Calvin Ridley. Gets paid a lot of money. People kind of ripping a little bit. 30, gonna be 30. He's 29 right now. Gonna be 30 and got a lot of money. I understand that, but again, Titans got a lot better adding Calvin Ridley, a legit receiver that torched the Titans last year, by the way. But a legit receiver that can track the ball, that gets separation, has that big playability. The Titans were lacking at that position outside of DeAndre Hopkins. So you have Ridley, Hopkins, also Callahan coming from the Bengals. They really thrived while having 3 big-time receivers. So now you have 2, and maybe they get more out of Burks, and I'm sure they're going to probably draft one as well. But you got 2 legit receivers, in Ridley and Hopkins that are different but big playability. And Hopkins looked legit last year, actually, once Will Levis came in. So I don't really think he's lost too much of a step there. And really, it feels like he's just getting going. I think what people forget is that, before last year, he was out of football for a whole year because of the gambling situation. And for more than half of the year before, he was out as well. So for not being in football for that long and having a 1,000-yard season, I think he did all right. I think it could even be even better this year, perhaps. So Titans get a lot better with this signing, regardless of what you think of the money here. So another big-time one, this one for Tennessee. And then the Jaguars losing Ridley, but they get Armstead, who's a big-time defensive lineman. Is he as good as he was a couple years ago? No, but he's still a big-time player, still a unique player. I thought he played fairly well in the Super Bowl as well. But a guy you can rush off the edge, line up over the tackle, line up at 3 technique, do what you want to do with them. I think that really pairs well with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen for multiple reasons. Well, first off, they were like, last year, like everyone's saying, like the Jags need a pass rush. The problem is they got 2 decent ones out there. They're trying to develop one of them, and Josh Allen is a beast. So what do they do? And, they kind of missed Arden Key, who was a big-time rotational guy, but he would actually align in different spots. I thought that was interesting, So that was the tough part, like finding a good enough pass rusher, but then how much snaps does he play? Because you really want to play the other guy. Now you get a guy that can align in different spots that you can start with those guys. Walker, I believe, could line up in different spots as well. So you kind of can, one's here, one's there. You can flip them. I think a lot more Armstead inside of slid inside of Trayvon Walker and obviously Josh Allen. Those guys will be on the outside. Josh Allen all-time outside. But so this would be a big impact, and he helps with the run as well. But the Jaguars usually are pretty decent against the run. So big pictures, it helps them become a little more unique, versatile, tough, pre-snap for opposing offense. But it helps the pass rushing game as well. So big one for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a little bit of a surprise that they end up getting him. Eagles getting Saquon Barkley, big contract. A lot of guarantees. And maybe you get on about that, but the Eagles get better with this. Remember how they made Miles Sanders look. DeAndre Swift looked really good, and he was a solid back already, but looked really solid last year. But Barkley, no question, a lot better than both those guys coming in there with that offensive line. He's going to tear it up. Running the ball, catching the ball. So that's going to keep teams, worrying about that run game a little bit more. There's times they went away from the run a little bit at the end of last year. I didn't love that. I don't think I would imagine they would not do that with having this good of a running back in the contract they gave him. And it can open things up for the passing game as well, and Jalen Hurts. So makes them they were already 2-dimensional, but it makes them even more that. Keeps defenses on their toes, keeps them guessing. So obviously a big impact signing for the Eagles where they get better. An example of like good, really big signings that aren't on this video, like Bryce Huff would be one. Like it's a guy with a lot of upside, big time signing, but how much better are they actually getting? Is it gonna be Sweat and Huff? Like Reddick was so good for them. We'll see what happens there, but kind of just adding another big time pass rusher. Which was good for them overall. Then the Ravens getting Derrick Henry is one of my favorite signings of free agency. They got to get an offensive line in front of them, but 2 years, $16 million, I thought was a good deal. But besides the point for this video, you get a big time running back that fits very well, and it's going to cause more problems. They got the most out of their running backs that really weren't, name-wise the biggest running backs, like the best running backs. So imagine what Derrick Henry is going to do on that offense, and teams are going to have to be guessing, wondering, they're going to pound it Derrick Henry. Is Lamar going to take off outside, or is Henry going to take off outside? Are they going to throw the ball? Henry very sneaky on those slip screens as well. So huge impact for the Ravens. I can't wait to see what this looks like on game day. And another running back, the Packers getting Josh Jacobs. Honestly, almost didn't go on this list because, they get a big-time running back, but that Aaron Jones was so good for them. So they go Aaron Jones out, Josh Jacobs in. How much of an upgrade? Aaron Jones was great, is great. He was amazing down the stretch in the playoffs, but Josh Jacobs going to be a young Josh Jacobs, dominant running back is going to be nasty for the Green Bay Packers. The way they run the football, the way they block, the way they call plays, big part of that offense is running the football. And I like how they even with the Rodgers years and after Love got going, they're evenly balanced. And that there's some teams that only run, not too much anymore, and there's some teams that today starting to they live and die by the pass. You have to be two-dimensional. You have to be good at both. You have to be unpredictable. So that's what I love about the Packers and what they're going to do with Love and Jacobs here. It's going to be a lot of fun. So is it a crazy amount of improvement going from Aaron Jones to Jacobs? No, but this guy's going to be nasty for a bit for the Packers, and it kind of gives them a little bit of a different look, which is good. In a good way here for Green Bay. And Green Bay gets 2 in a row here. Xavier McKinney, they gave him elite safety money. It was a little surprising, but it's a big-time do-it-all safety. Those types of safeties are thriving in today's NFL and money-wise, I believe, as you can see. But he can play free, he can play strong, he can go up in the box, he can man, he can zone. You can blitz him if you want. So he's a do-it-all type guy. Packers safety group was pretty rough last year. Corners were okay, but they were kind of in and out. But adding him to this group could be. I mean, it's going to be huge. It makes them better in general. But the different things you now could do with your defense is giant. That's why they had to pay up. They probably paid more than they wanted to, but they were like, it's going to open up so many things for our defense and what we could do. We're going to get so much better with this. Let's just do it. Let's give him a little bit extra here. Let's do it. So sometimes you almost could say it's an overpay, even though he's a super talented guy. But sometimes it's actually good to overpay. I think this is a good example. This is probably one of the in terms of value, it's not one of my favorite contracts, but in terms of just straight up signings like fit, making you unique, unpredictable, what he can do, the impact he makes for your team, how much better you get, all of that. I like this one a lot. One of my favorite ones, and it's one we predicted as well. So excited for the Packers with their big additions there. We'll see what else they could do. But to the Panthers getting Robert Hunt, another one. People kind of rip a little bit for the money. It's a lot for a guard. If they needed him to play tackle, though, I think he could do it, but he is going to be a big-time guard. I think his best football is ahead of him, too. I loved Hunt as a prospect out of Louisiana. I thought his best football was definitely not going to come right away, but he's been playing all right. Definitely better this last year as well. But where this is big, where the Panthers get better on the offensive line, they get a big-time guard that has a lot of upside. Like he could be, one of the very best guards in football. He hasn't been. It's not like I'm saying he's been too far off like this last year, but he could actually become that. But a big thing here is, plugging him on that right side with Taylor Moton. That is a hell of a duo, guard tackle duo. Bryce Young is a guy that he scrambles, but he's a pass first guy. That's why I love it. He has a lot of upside still, but when he's best when he's able to get the ball, read the field a little bit, roll out right, throw on the run, make a beautiful throw. So being able to get out safely to the right and sit out there for at least a little bit is huge. Hunt and Moton out there, it's a really good duo. So this is big time for Bryce Young, which I love what they've done for him. Still more to do. Love adding Deontay Johnson, but the big part is Dave Canales. Big fan of him. I think Bryce Young really steps it up this year because what Carolina is doing. They are taking a hit on defense because of it, but it's very important to get Bryce Young and that offense going. The Jets adding Tyrone Smith. Yes, only a one-year deal, but they badly needed tackle help, and they get a big-time veteran. Yeah, he's not as good as he was a few years ago, and he does have durability concerns, but this is a legit tackle. Very good. I think the younger guys can learn a lot from him as well. Definitely going to help Aaron Rodgers. They were pretty desperate for it, and they didn't really show desperation with the price tag here either. But there's no question the Jets improved big time with this impact signing right here. And they're actually going to stay on here. I debated putting Mike Williams on here. The tough part about these two with the Jets is both guys have their major durability issues. So there's a world is a scenario, unfortunately, let's hope it doesn't happen, where one or both these guys play less than half the games for them, or X amount of games for them, and that'd be pretty brutal. Obviously, the good news is it's 1-year deals both ways, so if that happens, it's not like they're locked in or anything. But yeah, Rodgers is usually good. He's good with any type of receiver, but he's usually good with like those possession guys, because he's gonna put the ball, like drop it in a bucket or put it in an area for his receiver to go make a legit play, and that's what Mike Williams is about: catching the ball, in the breadbasket, going on the sideline, or going up and getting it, beating the corner or safety on the high point. So it's huge. It's a type of receiver. It's a much better version of Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard. So it's a type of receiver that can really, really thrive with Aaron Rodgers. So and it complements Garrett Wilson a lot, because they're two different type of receivers, two big time receivers. So I think they really improve with this signing. It was a very recent one. In a 1-year deal here as well, Marquise Brown, I mean, it's a Chiefs type of receiver. They have Rashee Rice, who was by far their best wide receiver last year, really carried that group. And he's a guy that plays a lot in the slot and outside. But you got a speedster on the outside here in Hollywood Brown, who's got that big playability. He fits Chiefs ball, slash Mahomes ball, and then Chiefs ball, fits him. They could use him for sure. So they are way better than they were last year with adding Hollywood Brown. Not the best receiver in the world, but he fits so well. He's good. But they are way better just because of the signing, like him and Rashee Rice. So, and they just won the Super Bowl on top of it. So that is a major impact signing here for a possible 3 in a row for the Chiefs. And then one more, we'll go DJ Reader going to the Lions here. Did have multiple injuries last year and got hurt right at the end pretty much, almost, but so a little banged up. Right now he checked out medically for the Lions, but yeah, I just hopefully he can stay healthy. But this is big. I mean, this dude, he's been underrated. Like, he is, you could argue over the last, I'd say 3 years, like who has been the very best run stopper in football. I think you put him in that conversation. I think Dexter Lawrence and Vita Vea, these guys got to be up there as well. But just stopping the run, plugging gaps. This guy clotheslined so many people in the gaps. It's ridiculous. And he's been getting better at getting collapsing pockets and getting pressure. But pairing him with Lee McNeil, and these are two studs that stop the run first and then get pressure second. That's what I love with my interior defensive lineman, because you still have to stop the run at a high level or teams are going to easily beat you. The Lions really stepped up stopping the run this year, and they step up even more with this one, let me tell you. So I think this is going to really help this defensive line. Just hope he's healthy to start the year. Hope he's healthy all year. But him and Lee McNeil, similar strengths. That's going to be interesting. Going to be fun to watch there for Detroit, Reader and McNeil and that defense. So excited to see what they do with the draft. They're always an exciting team. I usually love what Brad Holmes does. So really exciting time of the year for everybody. But that'll do it for this one. These are this big time signings and new places that is something to get really excited about. Big impacts instantly, day one when they step in. There's more, but these are the ones where it's like, no question, the second they step on that field, is a big game-changing type deal for these teams with their new players. So check out all our free agency videos. We have a mock draft. We have mock draft up. We're going to start getting to my position rankings. I'm still ripping through that film. We're going to talk about fits, a lot of those things. Bust, boomer, bust prospects. Excited about this time of the year. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.